like to preface my words with saying that while the focus of my speech is of course Carrie, I do hope that it honors everyone here who has taken up her noble profession. The day before the first day of school, as I lamented the end of summer, like a child laments the end of Christmas, I was speaking to Valerie Sapara, and Valerie told me that she loves the first day of school, and that all she ever wanted to do was to be a teacher. I had just met this woman. I was so moved by her genuineness. I honestly knew at that moment that it was a conversation I would remember for the rest of my career. She inspired me, but I never told her. A little bit later in the year, at an English pullout, Mrs. Leano played a CD that had a song about the ALP that Steve Rodriguez had coordinated with some Olympian students. And I marveled at the creativity and the passion and the motivation that it must have taken him to undertake and complete such a project. And he inspired me, but I never told him. About a month ago, my wife and my son and I went to Jen Schaefer's production of The Crucible. It was the first school play that I had been to since becoming a teacher. In fact, Carrie had recommended it, so I knew I needed to go eventually. But I was so impressed. I kept thinking how much work it must have taken her to pull off this production with student actors and amateur stagehands. And she inspired me, but I never told her. And finally, about 2 weeks ago, one of my students came to me with a poem that she had written in Steve Fazio's Creative Writing Club. This poem was 2 pages long, single-spaced, and typed. And Steve Fazio had written thoughtful, meaningful feedback for this girl on nearly every single line of this poem. And I was looking at it, and I was just blown away. I was blown away by the generosity of thought and time that he must have put into this paper for this young lady who was not even one of his students. He inspired me, but I never told him. Carrie, I had such a moment with you, and I will never forget it, but I do want to tell you now. At one point in this year, Carrie sent out an email to all the English teachers. Carrie's email was inviting us to accompany her to a professional development seminar. And later in the week at a PLC meeting, she mentioned it again, and she was extremely enthusiastic about it. This training seminar was on a Saturday. I remember thinking to myself, I can't believe this woman. She's been teaching for decades. She's retiring at the end of this year, and yet she still wants to give up one of her Saturdays for the mere possibility of slightly improving her craft for one more semester. And that just amazed me. The dedication to her profession and her students and that type of intellectual humility was just simply amazing to me. Benjamin Franklin, in his younger years, he wrote about how to achieve moral perfection. It was a step-by-step guide. In his older, wiser years, he reflected that of all the virtues involved in moral perfection, humility was the one that he found the most difficult. In fact, he said, I wish I were less prideful, but even if I were, I think I'd be proud of my humility. Carrie, your humility inspired me, and I'm telling you now. As teachers, we hope that we're making a difference. I think we all know that most of what we say and most of what we do will be forgotten, but we hope that some of it sticks. I think the point of my anecdotes is that When something that we say or something that we do does stick, usually we have no idea that it happened. No one tells us. But Carrie, as you ride off into the sunset, go with the knowledge that you have made a difference. You have influenced so many lives in so many positive ways, the vast majority of which you'll never know about. And as you leave our profession, rest assured that your legacy lies not only in the thousands of the students whose lives they've touched, but also in the teachers, such as us, whom you've influenced, and who will then pass on a small part of you to our own students. So bravo.